I think Robin Williams said it best when he said, "I used to think that the worst thing in life was to end up alone, but it's not. The worst thing in life is to end up with people who make you feel alone." So whether you're single or even in a relationship, we can all feel alone and isolated at times. So I thought I'd recommend my top 5 movies to watch when you feel alone in this world. And at the end of watching these amazing films, hopefully you won't feel so lonesome. Oh, and don't worry, this is a spoiler-free video. So kicking off at number 5, we have Two Lovers. Inspired by Dostoevsky's short story White Nights, Two Lovers is directed by James Gray. The film takes place in Brighton Beach in New York and follows Leonard, who's played by one of my favourites, Joaquin Phoenix. Leonard has just split up with his fiancée, and so he has to move back into his parents' house. He's deeply lonely and suicidal, but when he meets Sandra, things start looking up. Sandra is beautiful, but somewhat of a plain Jane, and she's a sensible girl and she's longing to settle down. So Leonard and Sandra begin dating, and for a while it's great. And Leonard's parents are just happy because their son is smiling once again. But then Leonard meets Michelle, who's the complete opposite to Sandra. She's seductive and manipulative, and she offers Leonard a level of intrigue and excitement. But she also has a rich boyfriend, which only complicates things. I love how even the lighting of each scene and the overall tone of the film is sombre and grey. It makes you feel the melancholy and the mediocrity of Leonard's existence. Then when he meets Michelle, brighter and warmer colours and tones are introduced, giving a sense of excitement and intrigue. And in at number 4 we have Born on the 4th of July. Based on the memoir by Ron Kovic, Born on the 4th of July follows Ron Kovic's life in the mid-1960s. Ron Kovic, played by Tom Cruise, is a passionate and patriotic young teenager. He feels like it's his duty to protect America, so he decides to enlist in the Marines. During his second tour of Vietnam, Ron is permanently paralysed in battle. Confined to a wheelchair, Ron is forced to return home to a country now very much different. The Western world is changing, and Ron encounters a political divide and an uncaring Veterans Administration bureaucracy. Ron feels like his heroic sacrifice has gone by unappreciated, and people just don't seem to understand the terrible things he's had to endure. He's alone and isolated, and it's devastating. There's a scene where Tom Cruise returns home, and after a heated argument with his family, he's left sobbing in the arms of his dad, and he says, "Who's gonna love me, Dad? Who's gonna love me?" And just thinking about that scene now just makes me so sad. It's heartbreaking. There's also another scene where Tom Cruise and Willem Dafoe's characters get into a violent fight, and all of a sudden they start spitting in each other's faces, and it's real spitting, and it's probably one of the most powerful scenes in the film. I also love the book and highly recommend it. And in at number 3 we have the 1976 classic Taxi Driver. Set in the sleazy streets of New York City, Robert De Niro plays a lonely and disturbed character named Travis. Travis has insomnia, and so eager for a distraction, he decides to get a job as driving taxis around the city. Travis despises everything around him, the junkies, the hookers, the pimps, but when he meets Betsy, played by Sybil Shepherd, he believes she's the one good person left in this filthy city. But Travis quickly descends into a world of isolation and madness as he becomes increasingly obsessed with the idea of saving the world. In my opinion, the whole movie is a work of art, from the suggestive camera angles to the wardrobe to the script. Everything just works. The film is directed by Martin Scorsese, and he even has a little cameo as one of Travis's taxi passengers. And he's a really, really good actor. So be sure to look out for that scene. And in at number 2 we have Into the Wild. Based on a true story, Into the Wild is a beautiful piece of cinema directed by the amazing Sean Penn. Adapted from the book of the same name, Into the Wild tells the story of Christopher McCandless. Christopher is the son of wealthy parents who have dreams that one day their son will pursue a life of success with a prestigious and profitable career. But after Chris graduates from university, he shocks everyone by giving all of his savings to Oxfam and throwing away all of his possessions. Then he sets off on a journey of self-discovery, a quest as he calls it, into the Alaskan wilderness. Chris is played by the fine actor Emil Hirsch, and with its equally dynamic and powerful soundtrack, written by Pearl Jam's Eddie Vedder, this film will leave you yearning for adventure. And in at number 1, we have a movie that I first watched late one night that really spoke to me on a personal level and made me want to start my own revolution. It's Pump Up the Volume. Set in Arizona, Christian Slater plays Mark, a lonely, introverted teenager with a secret persona. He's awkward and he can't speak to girls, and he has trouble relating to all the other kids at school. And so he decides to start his own pirate radio station. Broadcasting as Hard Harry, Mark uses his nightly radio show to rant about the injustices and hypocrisies of society. And when Mark's messages of rebellion and individuality strike a chord with his young audience, a revolution begins. Christian Slater was even kind enough to sign my very own copy of the movie, so just want to say thank you to him for that. Pretty cool. In conclusion, this movie is gritty and full of rage and ultimately makes you feel less alone. And even the soundtrack is raw and obnoxious. It's pissed off and obnoxious and gets you fired up, and if played loud enough, capable of waking the dead. So there you have it guys, my top 5 movies to watch when you feel alone in this world. And if you're a subscriber, I just wanted to say thank you so much. Give it a thumbs up if you like the video. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video where we go into the unknown. Take care guys.